There comes a point in life when the future no longer feels like the most pressing question. Instead, it is the past that quietly steps forward, asking to be acknowledged, not rewritten, not erased, but finally understood. For Al Roker, one of America's most familiar and trusted voices, that moment did not arrive with fanfare. It arrived slowly, shaped by years of reflection, resilience, and the kind of life experience that cannot be rushed. This is not a story about weather forecasts or television longevity. It is a story about reckoning, about confronting a chapter that never fully closed. To the public, Al Roker has long represented steadiness, a reassuring presence in living rooms across generations. He showed up each morning with warmth, humor, and an uncanny ability to make uncertainty feel manageable. But behind that consistency lived a quieter truth. Even the most dependable figures carry unresolved chapters. For viewers in their 60s, this reality feels deeply familiar. You reach an age where memories are no longer distant, they are vivid, textured, and sometimes unresolved. You've lived enough life to know that some experiences don't fade with time, they wait. For Al, the haunting chapter was not one single moment, but a convergence of earlier struggles, health battles minimized in youth, emotional burdens carried in silence, and decisions made during seasons when survival took precedence over self-reflection. Like many of his generation, he learned early to push through, to keep going, to show up no matter the cost. Vulnerability was not rewarded in those years. Endurance was. And for a long time, endurance worked. But time has a way of changing the questions we ask ourselves. What once felt like strength can begin to feel like avoidance. What once felt like momentum can feel like distance from yourself, from loved ones, from the parts of life you postponed. As health challenges later in life forced Al Roker to slow down, something unexpected happened. In the quiet spaces between recovery and reflection, the past resurfaced, not as an accusation, but as an invitation to finally sit with experiences that had been acknowledged publicly, but never fully processed privately. For many watching at home, this moment resonates deeply. The 60s are not about regret, but they are about reckoning, about asking whether you've truly made peace with the life you've lived. Al has spoken, not dramatically, but honestly, about moments when he realized he had spent years being strong for everyone else, while leaving little room to examine his own emotional landscape. The cost of always being the dependable one is that no one ever expects you to need care. That realization can be unsettling. The unfinished chapter was not about failure, it was about unspoken fear, about the pressure to remain positive while uncertainty loomed, about brushing past emotional weight because there was always another broadcast, another obligation, another reason to postpone reflection. And yet, postponement has its limits. Confronting the past did not mean reliving pain, it meant reframing it. Al began to understand that survival alone is not the same as healing, that resilience without reflection can leave scars unseen but still deeply felt. For an audience that has lived through wars of circumstance, economic uncertainty, family responsibility, and personal sacrifice, this distinction matters. Many were taught to carry on, not to check in, to provide, not to process. What makes Al Roker's story so compelling at this stage of life is not the hardship itself, but the courage to face it honestly, without drama or self-pity. He did not frame his past as something that ruined him. He framed it as something that shaped him, and something that deserved acknowledgement even decades later. In doing so, he modeled something powerful, that it is never too late to confront what still lingers, that reflection is not weakness, that unfinished chapters do not mean unfinished lives. Today, there's a noticeable difference in how Al shows up, a gentler presence, a deeper gratitude, a willingness to speak openly about limits, physical, emotional, and personal. For those watching in their 60s, this evolution feels less like celebrity news and more like shared wisdom. Many know the feeling of looking back and realizing that strength alone carried you only so far, and that peace requires something more. Al Roker's unfinished chapter is not about closure, it is about integration, about allowing the past to take its place without dominating the present. And perhaps that is the most meaningful takeaway. We do not need to fix every memory to move forward, but we do need to acknowledge them, to stop pretending they don't matter, to let them inform, not imprison, who we are now. In the end, confronting the past is not about reopening wounds, it is about finally setting them down. For Al Roker, that quiet act of courage may be one of the most powerful chapters of all, not because it was dramatic, but because it was honest. And sometimes, honesty is the bravest forecast we can offer.